Okay, brilliant. Thanks for inviting me over, Adam.
You are most welcome.
Thanks. Now, I saw you last week. We were doing a workshop together.
Yeah.
But just give us a bit of an update on what you've been up to recently.
So I work for an organisation called Impact Gamers, and recently we've been a bit out of sorts because the venue that we're using is the basement of a church, and they've been having a new heating system put in. So we've had to downsize a little bit. So we've been running some after-school activities on Mondays and Thursdays, but we're set to expand those to run 4 groups in the week rather than just 2.
Yeah.
But also doing some schools workshops. So going to primary school, and like the workshop with you, working with young people, making their own app from their own ideas, and it's very exciting. Partway through.
Yeah. And the kids are loving it, aren't they?
They really are.
Yeah.
They really are. This is better than Fortnite. That says one
Quote
10-year-old.
of the week.
Yeah, well, quote of the year. I don't think I can't achieve any higher than that. I don't think in my life. But yeah, they only just decided about the character movement and decided how the character was going to move around the screen. There wasn't even an objective in the thing they were playing, but they could just move the character and push some blocks.
Yeah. Well, obviously, that's coming from their internal world creates that kind of reaction of,
it is
a £40 game, just through their own creativity.
Well, they're free to play, but yeah.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, definitely, it is the fact. It's the fact that and Fortnite's trying to address it by having some more creative stuff in it. Kids love to create. Kids are so creative. It's crazy, and especially when you can get them off this. I want to make something that's identical to the last thing I did. When you get them out of that mindset, it's just amazing the creativity they have and the joy they get from creating is really infectious.
Absolutely. So you're running the CIC. You've been running that for how long now?
2 years. 2 years and 1 month.
Right.
So we existed before the CIC as just an after-schools group, 1 night a week, going back sort of 4.5 years. But the CIC as a community interest company. So will people know what a CIC is?
They will now.
They will do. Yeah, okay. It gets called a kick by people who are super cool, but we'll call it a CIC. Community interest company. It's a company that exists to serve a purpose to benefit the community. So it's almost a charity, but the difference is that the people who run the charity can also direct the charity. A normal charity has a board of directors who are separate, trustees they're called, who are separate, whereas the CIC has directors who can also be employed by the organisation. Slightly easier to set up, but we don't get gift aid, which is a downer. When you see all these Facebook click to donate and all these other things, we don't get access to that easy donation. But we do get grants in the same way any charities do to run bigger projects. Yeah,
it's great. So what's led you down this path and how have you reached the point you've reached now? Because it's going really well, isn't it? Everything's coming together. It'd just be interesting for people to know how you got to this point.
So I came to Bradford in 2000 to study computer animation and special effects. That's because I really loved making things, and making things on the computer was the kind of the easiest way to make things because you get unlimited resources when you're using the computer. You can pick any objects, any colours, and create a virtual world. Excuse me. I did that, left university, and I wanted to go freelance, but I couldn't support going full-time freelance. So I worked 3 days a week at an alternative provision centre. Okay. They're now called TLG. Before they were called Lighthouse Group. And I taught multimedia to kids who were struggling at school. And they'd come to the centre. Struggling
in what sense?
Oh yeah, struggling as in getting to school, behaving at school.
Yeah.
Struggling to use language that didn't involve lots of swear words when talking to adults. They got having difficulties at home or difficulties in themselves, and just manifesting in
unable to self-regulate, basically.
Yeah, people would say they're naughty kids or bad kids. These are kids that didn't fit in the school system. They weren't going to go to college and study, theology or applied social science or something like that. These are kids who were, more hands-on, suited them. These are kids who, and lots of them didn't have any aspirations. So why did they have to stay in school at that point till 16 when any of the things that they wanted to do with their life didn't actually require any of these GCSEs,
I mean, it's kids conditioned to just have a negative attachment to the system, isn't it? I guess, and you can't override that by being charismatic at the front of a classroom, no matter how much we wish we could.
No. It's the class size issue, isn't it? It's the fact that if you're in a class size of 30 and you're not all of the same ability and not all of the same interest, which is every single class, then you easily sort of can get left behind or feel isolated or frustrated or bored or any of those things. And these kids just don't work well with larger groups who just stay quiet, listen. They want to share their ideas more, or they want to opt out more because they're a bit concerned about what's happening or feel a bit anxious or all sorts of different feelings that they're having, but they're not comfortable in the school system. And so they would come to us at the alternative provision. We'd have them for 12 weeks was the plan. We could have them for 24 to try and get them to work through some of their issues in a kind of more relaxed environment. 8 students, 3 staff.
Excellent.
And we'd do that. And so I did that for a while doing video work, some animation work, and then moving on to website work when sort of animation and video desire kind of dried up and YouTube was more popular. Did website work, and then WordPress came out, and you could make your own websites much more easily than I would take to code them. And then I did some programming, and it got really boring. Oh my word! I tell you what. Although
for you or for them or everyone,
I'm sure everyone was bored with the situation. The people that I lived with and the people I worked with, and it is so monotonous. Like coding in its pure form is, it's like baking. If you're going to grow the vegetables yourself, so I'm going to make a nice pizza. First of all, I will plant the tomatoes and wait a year. It's just such a slow slog to get something exactly how you want it. And because the clients are so specific, you're like, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. And then, anyway, so I really didn't enjoy it. And I built this database system that I could customize so it's quicker to make for clients. But it was really boring. It wasn't very exciting, and it meant I was doing less and less work with young people, and I didn't realise how infectious their kind of their excitement on creating things fueled my excitement.
The contact times, it's tough some days, but that's where you get the reward from, isn't it? In the role, and sometimes you need a break. Is it?
Sometimes I've been in some hard days where I don't think there's been any reward at the end of the day, apart from the end of the day is the reward in itself.
This is true.
So there's certainly the fact of doing things that you should do. So when you're freelance and you can make the choice about what you do and when you do. Being disciplined and starting work at a set time and finishing at a set time is far more productive than, I can't be bothered with it, leave it till 10 o'clock and then trying to finish something at 2 a.m. So making the hard choices. I agree that doing the hard choices and stuff has benefit in the long run. But, as a mid-20-year-old, I was still learning about that. So I worked for some alternative provisions, did some community work, after the database stuff, because I just realised how much I missed community and youth work, and went back into alternative provision, and then the organisation I was working with closed.
Okay.
So I was left, because I'd left my freelance work, I'd put it on hold. I'd said to the people at the database, it's not being supported anymore. I'm not doing that. And then it closed, the charity I was working with. And so I was left with a choice of what to do with my life.
A choice. We was talking about choices.
We were. And we were talking about, yes, how unhappy you can be if you have constant choice all the time rather than just commit to something.
Yeah.
So, well, I decided to commit to something. That's probably why I'm happy. I decided I was going to, somebody said, it was Participate, who you know.
Yeah.
Participate were helping close the charity that I was working for. And they said, why don't you take Impact Gamers and make it its own entity? And Impact Gamers came about because I applied for some grant funding to set it up, to run some alternative provision, particularly around making games, because it ticks most of my boxes in terms of bit of animation, computer game work, bit of artwork, and sort of all that.
Intervention.
Intervention. Oh, it ticked every box. Really, really thought it was a good idea. The people didn't think it was a good idea, didn't fund it.
Yeah.
But then the leader of the charity said, why don't you just try and run it as after school group? So it's like, yeah, great. Then the after school group went well. It was good. We made some links with the National Media and Science Museum and got an arcade machine in there to showcase the kids' games. On the big screen in Centenary Square, we had an event where we linked up some controls and the games so that general public could play the computer games. And it was all about inspiring people to be creative with technology, and particularly young people who often use technology just for
consuming.
Yes, it is. Oh, yeah, it's so
disappointing. The big one-liner, creation over consumerism,
I
think, is the...
Yeah, we say... we want to change gamers to makers.
Yeah, nice.
Which is clever because it's just a change of a couple of letters.
Yeah. So, syntax.
It is. Drop the G, change it to a K, reshuffle it. There we go. That's what we need to do. That's all you need to do. Drop the G, add a K in. Solution.
Brilliant.
Sorry,
go on.
No. So then I set up as a CIC. End of story. But it was a little bit tricky. I had 3 months where... because I'm married, got kids, got commitments, said to my wife, if I haven't, so it was in January set up, if I haven't made enough money in April to show that this can work, I'll get a proper job.
Yeah.
And then end of February, we got 2 grants through, which was fantastic.
Nice.
And then we got some bookings from...
No choice.
Yeah, that's it. Committed, fully committed. And then I was happy. That was it. I had to remove all your choices from life and be happy.
Brilliant.
I'm sure I don't mean that. Make a choice and stick to it and be happy. That's what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, Participate are great, aren't they? So they help set up organisations, and I definitely should give them a mention, shouldn't we?
Definitely. Participateprojects.org.uk.
There you go. Yeah. So if
that doesn't work, try .co.uk.
Yeah, or look in the yellow pages.
That's it.
But yeah, they can help you set up a CIC or a charity or any organisation of that nature, I guess. So give them a call.
A wealth of knowledge and a real passion to inspire people to establish charities and community groups. Yeah, very helpful. I mean, you've gone on now where your education program's been recognised, and you've won a BAFTA for that, which is really cool. Huh? It is.
Tell us a bit about that.
Oh yeah, so I was aware of semi-aware of BAFTA having a young games designer category. So for each of their categories in film and television and computer games, which sort of you see all the big awards for each year, they have junior categories for them. And so I got an email through about the BAFTA Young Games Designer Awards and asked the students I was working with, do you want to enter your games into this competition? And they're like, yeah, I want to win a BAFTA. But there's also a category for a mentor award.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now, the first grant funding we got was from the High Sheriff. I got to meet the High Sheriff. There is a person who is the High Sheriff of West Yorkshire. And no word of a lie, I had to meet them at the town hall in Leeds, in the courthouse in Leeds at noon. Okay. So we got this funding from the High Sheriff, whose job is appointed by the Queen, in fact. And their job role nowadays, in the old days, I think they carried a big a spear or something like that and had to chase criminals. But the job now...
Things have changed.
Things have changed slightly. The spear was left behind. But their job was to try and improve the relationship between the community and the police. So they don't work they don't work under the police, they work under the Queen. So I think their job role is to help the community
integrate with the system.
Yeah. That sounds friendly, doesn't it? Yeah, that's
without spears.
Yeah, with no spears attached this time. So our first grant was from the High Sheriff to run a pilot scheme in mentoring young people. And so our sort of take on it was young people often just hide themselves away and play games when they're at home, but also get involved in antisocial behaviour if they haven't got anything creative to do. So why not take their joy of games and help them to make their own games, but at the same time we work one-to-one. So we have 2 staff and 2 students and see them weekly and help them make their game. And the game making is just a vehicle. It's just a way of getting
an
young
outlet,
people
isn't
to go.
it?
It is an outlet. Yeah, it's a shared passion. We love making games. They love making games. So it's a common interest.
Yeah.
They love games.
I mean, I've met kids, and we've all seen this, where they won't interact and communicate with the family, or they're just fully engrossed in the computer game. I was like that as a kid, but they will be able to tell you everything about that computer game, every detail, down to the last pixel almost. Yes. Once you then take that into the communication you want to have with them and show genuine interest, you can't shut them up. So it's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? Really?
It definitely is. It's using something that they know they're familiar with.
Yeah.
But also, you get this magical moment, and this is the thing that I need to talk about more for impact gamers, is when you don't look at someone, you're able to talk about things that you wouldn't normally talk about. We experience it when we're texting or when we're emailing stuff. We can get to the point a lot quicker, and you can say things that you wouldn't say face to face. Yeah. But you are saying it almost face to face. You get it in the car when you're traveling. So like you're stuck in a vehicle for 2 hours, traveling wherever you're going. Yeah. And you start to talk about life. You start to talk about, interests, fears, and things like that. Things that if you were sat face to face would be far more uncomfortable to talk about.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you get that when you're both looking at the same thing on the screen, sat next to each other, but not face to face. You can say to them, "How was your day today?" Yeah. And you don't get, "All right." You get a slight pause and an actual answer of, the teacher really wound me up. Yeah. And then you're like, what happened there? And so once they're doing something in the game, making the game, once they're comfortable with moving things about, making a level, drawing graphics, they can chat while doing it. Yeah. And it's really easy to engage on more serious stuff. Yeah. So we got the mentoring award money. We did some mentoring work. And then 2 parents one who we mentored the kid specifically, and one parent whose kid just comes to the club, submitted us for this BAFTA award. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it's for an individual. Okay. So it's the BAFTA. I get the BAFTA. But I want to say this is Impact Gamers. For all the other staff, this is your BAFTA.
Liar.
Yeah. Well, I got the free food at the award ceremony. It's me. So and I get to keep the trophy because it's got my name on it. So, but it is Impact Gamers BAFTA.
Have the other members of staff at least got a photo of the BAFTA?
I described it to them.
Nice.
No. I let them touch it. Yeah. They got a photo with it with their finger covering up the awarded to section. So no, actually, I don't think the award doesn't have my name on it. No, but I do have a certificate with a piece of paper with my name on it. It's all right.
Nice.
The point is that, so they submitted it, and it was really interesting. So we go to the awards. We're not going to win. This is ridiculous. Yeah. We're at such a small team. There's 2 staff and 2 volunteers, and we work with, at the time, we were working with, I don't know, 28 kids, sort of like over 3 groups.
Yeah.
We're not going to win this. And I have a look through the previous winners, and they're all a bit samey. They're all a bit like me, sort of like someone in their mid to late 30s, set up a club, really engaged with young people.
Trying to minimise choices.
Telling kids not to make choices, just to do the first thing that, not that. No, but they were all a bit, and I was like, I'm samey. And there's some really interesting, there's some ladies in there who teach at some sixth form colleges and high school, and I was like, it's time for a lady to win, really, because all of the other winners look a bit like me. So I wasn't going to win. I was like, they're going to encourage a bit more diversity. But luckily for me, the thing was, we were the only group there who aimed to work with kids who are in difficult situations. Yeah. So we were working with kids from deprived backgrounds or have got difficult life issues happening. Yeah. And use our groups to speak about those issues. All the other kids were like, I really like my teacher. He's really friendly. And if I miss any work, helps me catch up. Yeah, yeah. Which is great, which is fantastic. Yeah. But we went an extra level. And so they asked me to give a speech. No one else gave a speech at this event. They asked me to give a speech, but because I hadn't prepared anything, I wasn't going to win. Yeah. So I'm not sure what I said. I have got it filmed on my phone, but I haven't dared watch it. I don't know. I can't watch it back. I think maybe in 10 years' time, I might consider watching a bit of it. Yeah. Oh, but no. It's because they asked me, so the presenters asked me, what makes a good mentor? And I was like, well, I think it's people who actually engage with the parents, because the thing is, this child's life is in your hands, kind of. Well, let them in your influence for an hour or 2 a week. Yeah. But these parents are coping with the issues with this young person. Yeah. When they're not at school as well. Yeah. They're coping with them 24/7. Yeah. So I was saying, sort of getting alongside the parents and supporting them. And so I'm sure all the other teachers, like all the other people there, were like, well, being a good mentor, you got to get to know the parents. What are you talking about? So, but for Impact Games, it is important for us to get to know the family unit. Yeah. Because there's so many other things that are affecting this kid. Like, they might not be going to school, but going to school isn't going to fix their life. That's not their problem. No. That's the manifestation of it. Yeah. And so getting to know the parents, finding out what difficulties they're having.
School is don't take offence, head teachers and educators who are listening.
Do totally. Right in.
Yeah, school is a temporary engagement, isn't it? Simple as that. It's a temporary engagement that's transient, and it's gonna leave. Yeah. And there's so much more.
There is
going on.
There is. I think you could probably say
just concentrate.
Education is the transient bit. It's because you all have those key moments of those teachers that really helped you. That really helped you. Not just, he helped me understand what factorization was. It's like, he helped me believe in myself, or she helped me. Absolutely. She helped me build my confidence and to aim higher. And those things stay with you. But, the xylem and phloem that operates within a plant has never proved useful to me at any point in my life. Sorry, biology teachers.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's I guess, the same as looking at the sensory diet, isn't it? You've got to look broad and wide.
Expand sensory diet. That sounds amazing. Go on.
Well, it's just kind of the whole, visual and kinesthetic way of learning, visual, audio, and kinesthetic. If you can incorporate all those elements within any subject or any activity that you put in school, you're not going to miss any of the children's needs. They're going to engage with it on what level that they
feel comfortable.
That they communicate best with and engage best with. But sometimes they're presented with just a visual or audio or kinesthetic task, and they can feel isolated. Starts affecting self-esteem. Blah blah blah. But if you can try and make sure that you're covering all bases at all times, each child's kind of expanding and increasing their development on each area, and they may lack in one or the other, but
we all do, don't we? The thing is, like me and my wife, we have total areas of lacking and not lacking, and we're quite different, and so we have some areas of our life we both lack, and hence why it takes a while for our house to get quite tidy, because we both lack the preemptive cleaning gene that some people have. But there's a complement each other, and that's the thing that our society we often talk about people being independent and stuff, but we need to rely on each other so much.
Yeah, I mean, my flaw is that I go through phases of severe independence.
Yeah,
and I look at it now as I'm getting older, and I'm thinking, why are you doing this? There's no real benefit to it.
No.
Yes, it's great to be able to stand on your own, but kind of we do when we need to, but we don't necessarily need to seek it out too much.
But the seeking out bit is it opens up vulnerability, doesn't it? I'm not very good at written word. And running a CIC, you have to write reports quite a bit. I dread getting people to look over my stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think, they'll see how bad I am at writing. But that's just my mindset. Whenever any of the directors look over my stuff, it's not a let's see what we can point out Adam did wrong. It's a let's change when Adam says we do, and I've used do rather than do not, sort of like we do injure the kids. Not that I've ever written we do not injure the kids.
It's very, very easy to get sensitive to it, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
When I'm working in schools, it's kind of you can hear that everything's being corrected just walking around the corridors, and you think, wow, that's kind of, that must be difficult for kids to be, constantly corrected, and but also keep the esteem that I'm learning. It's okay. I'm learning.
They cope with it better than we do, though, don't we?
Yeah.
I
think we naturally, as adults, start to find our comfort zone and what we're okay at.
Do you remember the last time you were told off? Do you remember?
I hate it.
Oh, it's horrible. Because you just feel like you're 6.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you're not in control. You feel like you've hurt someone and you can't fix it. That's why when you're told off that you've hurt someone's feelings, like, you shouldn't have done that. You've really upset that person. Yeah. And you're like, how can I fix this? I need to fix this right now.
Yeah.
Sort of like, I don't have their number or anything. Yeah. Do I buy flowers? What do I do? Will they accept the flower? What have I done? I've broken the world. It is a horrible thing. Yeah. And that is something that when you're in a class of 30 and you've had to correct someone or tell someone off, there's none of that feedback that you can get. So when we're in small groups and we upset a kid and they're like, oh, you're an idiot, sort of like, and you don't understand, we can say, oh, I'm sorry that it's sort of like, I'm sorry that you think that. What do you think I've done wrong? Like, speak to me about it, or sort of like have some time out and let me know what I've done wrong, and I'll sort of
try and
sort it
work
out. Work around it. Yeah, exactly. And so you can fix misunderstandings and you can fix that. But with making computer games, it is actually a really positive experience because each thing builds upon the last in a way that isn't a tower of bricks that gets knocked from the bottom. Computers are very stable. I say they're very stable, but they are compared to what they were. Some programs don't always work on all computers, but nowadays they are pretty stable. Like my phone hasn't crashed
You are tempting fate here.
I know. Well, anyway, let's go. Your laptop burst into flames. I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
He thinks
I'm waiting for it now.
Yeah, he thinks that this is important. I will delete it for him. But yeah, it's quite stable, and to have look at this. This is a great moral message. To build on stable bases is important, and the young people that we come into contact with, both you and me, often have instabilities in what they think about themselves or others. That means home,
internal, external,
all those things.
Yeah. And then if they see you at the front of the room running around trying to get the computer going and looking all flustered, it's just what that projects to them. There's just no modelling. It's just
But if we can invest in this, if a young person can understand that they are important, not because of what they do, and they're not important or liked because of what they think, but because of who they are, which is obviously quite hard for us to adults to understand. But if they understand that just by being an individual, that's important, and that they are valued, and that their thoughts are valued, and that they're sort of that
it's okay to express what's going through their their mind at that time.
Then it really helps to build stability. It really does.
And that's hard for kids because they know they're being judged. Yeah. We as adults know that we're judged. It's hard for adults, isn't it, to express fears and vulnerabilities and things like that. But there needs to at least be something in place to allow the possibility of that happening. And it does happen, doesn't it? Once I think they understand what these sessions are, not that there's any big discussion about what they are, but they understand the environment and how it's free flowing, and it just naturally happens, doesn't it? There's a more open communication, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you see some of what's going on internally kind of come out through the games, I guess. I see it through the animations and the writing. It's a projection of what's internalized, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's what's interesting is that the kids will often want something that is shooting, or is like they say, I want to make the next Grand Theft Auto, or I want to make the next Fortnite, which I think should be called 4 weeks or a month. It should be called monthly, really. Just putting that out there. If anyone... In America, they don't have a Fortnite. Do you know? Fortnite doesn't exist as a word in America, apart from the game. Yeah. Even though the game describes it as a fort. Because you build forts and then night. I don't know, to play it overnight. I don't know. But they just call it 2 weekly. Right, but anyway, it's not important.
But we went there anyway.
We went there. So moving back to the actual point I was making was the fact that when you... Let's talk about limiting choices again. When you take them to, we'll start with the basics, park that thought for a moment. We're going to get a character to move around the screen, show them how to do that. And the software we use... It's about 5 minutes from starting the software to getting a character to move around the screen. Yep. So it's nice and easy, not this months of coding. They get the character to move around the screen, add some obstacles, add an enemy. They're like, I don't know. Like, this guy could be exploring like a maze, and there could be like dragons chasing him and stuff. And like, they've immediately forgot about the next thing. They've seen the potential of a blank page, and
the world starts to open up in front of them as they take each step forward. I mean, what advert is it? Have you seen the advert where it's like the light of and reality is manifesting as the car's driving and he's running down the road? I don't know if you've seen it. It's a Sony advert.
I'll just it's brilliant advert. Yeah.
But it is almost like that, isn't it? Each step, and it's endless then. It just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming.
And they can engage with it, like you're saying, at their own level as well. Yeah. So if I've got one student who loves artwork.
Yeah.
So he'll make a very basic game, but have beautiful artwork in it. Yeah. Well, actually very funny artwork. I wouldn't describe it as beautiful. It's humorous. It is funny and it's cutesy and it's really entertaining. And then we have other students who will just leave them as coloured blocks and concentrate on the gameplay. Yeah. And they're like, because they want to make it feel. There's something called game feel, feel that you're actually in this place. So it doesn't matter that it's a blue square avoiding red squares.
Yeah.
There's still that red square was really close to me.
Yeah.
There's still that, it doesn't matter.
They've reached that objective, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, I think these workshops are fantastic. I really do.
More schools should have them.
So I mean, talking about that, obviously, I know your directive of how you're trying to drive computer games, video games, however you want to name it. I know what ethos you're trying to put in there.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about that a little bit in a second. But what are your thoughts on device management, time management? I'm talking here because there's lots in the press and about, addiction to computer games. There's children who are reported to be refusing to eat because they can't come off their computer game, things like that I've read. Children becoming withdrawn. What's your
take on
the effects of mental health and well-being?
Oh, well, you can choose a study to prove anything, but as a parent, I definitely know there is a detriment to overuse of, and I love the word overuse. It's like over breathing is a bad thing. Over anything is a bad thing. But yes, it's quite easy to overuse devices. I think the core thing is when it stops interaction with society, because playing games together is what people want to do.
Yeah.
The reason that they play these games online is they want to play together.
Yeah.
If you play a board game, I've got a 6-year-old, she's adorable. If no one will play the board game with her, she'll play against herself.
Yeah.
It's really sweet.
Yeah.
But guaranteed in another 6 months she won't be like that. We don't want to play by ourselves, and she doesn't. She wants to invite her friends from school. She wants them to play with her, but if they're not there, she'll just play by herself, which is sweet. But it doesn't kind of fulfill us. We are made to be with other people, and we are creatures that enjoy sort of entertainment and sharing experiences. Builds friendships, and
we are storytellers. And we need another pair of ears to storytell.
There we go. We should have that on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
That's it. Good.
Yeah.
Is that your own quote or?
It is. I'm taking that one. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, sorry. Carry on.
You need to accredit that properly, everyone. If you're using the storyteller quote, then credit it properly. And so, yes. So, the being together. So, I really think that playing... When I was a lad, we used to bring our whole computers round to our friend's house to play games together. Something called LAN parties, where you'd connect local area networks, collect them together, and we'd play all the games that were controversial at the time, like Doom and Quake and stuff like that. But we would be in the same area. And the great thing is, there wasn't enough computers per person who was at that, so we'd have to share. So there was a natural kind of, I can only play for 10 minutes because then Daniel's going to slap me around the back of the head and say it's my go.
Yeah.
Not that he ever did slap me, but he'd tell me it was his go. And so playing together, I think is really important. Playing on screens, I think, is fine. Board games, I love board games, and there's a lot more depth to them because of the human interaction. Things can go a lot more many ways.
Board games, card games. Yes. As I've got older, they're the direction I
fantastic. There's some fantastic ones out there, and there's so many different styles.
Yeah.
And so it's having community and being together. Now, the problem is that being community and being together is so much what you want that I think the kids take the second-rate option of, I will play this game online and I will play it to kind of win. And you get the trolling, as in the insulting, the bullying, or trolling. It's American, isn't it? Trolling. The trolling to insult and bully and to put down others to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
Because they play these games against people who are better than them, get beaten. And were you a good loser when you were younger?
I don't think I'm a great loser now.
Yeah, I don't think anyone is a great loser.
No.
Unless they're not playing their full potential. Like as an adult, I will play against my son in chess.
Yeah.
and I will let him win, and he'll be really proud, and I'll just think to myself, yeah, but
I'm not trying.
I could have taken your queen a while ago, but I didn't. And so yeah, we're not good losers. And these games are so short. A board game goes on for hours, but you're playing this game. So let's use Fortnite as a great example. You're playing this game. You can be dead in the first minute.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I have to play again, have to play again, have to play again. And so you end up playing with people you don't know because you're left behind, like your friends are still
Daniel's gone for his tea.
Well, Daniel's still winning.
Yeah.
And I'm not. So I play. So you lose that social thing and you end up associating sort of having fun playing together with just this impulse, oh, give it a go. So it becomes the gambling. It becomes the gambling addiction of, I will just spin this slot machine. I will just do the one-armed bandits. It's gone from the I'm going to put money on a horse, watch the horse or friends, and just do that once a week when the event happens. To I just need it. So it does become an addiction, and it's horrid. So with my children, we try and limit them to 2 hours a day on the screens. There's some apps called Screen Time that you can install on tablets and stuff.
Yeah.
On the PC, we limit. There's so much information, so useful stuff. We limit it. YouTube is only on weekends because a lot of YouTube is just American. No offense to you Americans, but is American trash, as they would call it. Sort of like, hi guys, I'm just going to show you a great fun way you can put your ponytail in 16 different variations with a fork. And watch that. Or if you're watching anything my son's watching, he's like, all right, what we did is we went around my mate's house and we filled up his bath with like 10 million toy cars. Skittles. Skittles. I know he's going to have to eat them all.
Yeah.
Oh, he managed 2 bites and then was sick. Oh, so we limit that. But the things like BBC iPlayer, all of the BBC's values is everything must serve a educational, moral purpose in their shows. Yeah. So they can watch the BBC iPlayer anytime during the week.
Yeah.
They can also, we've got one tablet that only has educational or puzzle-based games installed.
Nice. Yeah.
And they can use that more. We charge that up and don't bother. If they've left their tablet uncharged, tough luck. We always charge up so they can play chess or they can do the puzzle games, cut the rope and stuff like that. And so we try and do it that way because the kids will be on screens. But if we can be on the screens with them, if I can play Minecraft with my boy and girl, if I can play a 2-player racing game with my kids, that's great. So it's all about joining in and not. It's getting them to understand games are fun.
I guess continuing socially and continuing parental engagement through that.
Yeah.
Because if you're sat by the side, you kind of, there's a lot you can learn from games. The same as film.
Definitely.
Films aren't just film. They're there for a reason. There's a lot kids can pick up, and if you've got an adult sat there, just draw all that information out and highlight things, and it can be a great medium for education.
And here's a thing that would really help. If loading times were longer between levels, you'd actually have that time to chat. Not looking at each other, both looking at the same thing. Chat, but that's the thing.
Yeah, or if you had
loading
intervals in the game that presented that as part of the game.
Yeah,
even. But that moves us on nicely actually to. Do you think? I mean, working with young kids, it's same growing up, isn't it? It's always the same. When you're a kid, there's something that's not age appropriate.
Yeah.
Like it's Fortnite at the moment, isn't it? It's a big one.
Yeah.
And I guess it was probably Doom, like you said years ago.
Yep. There was one called Blood, which was rated was it 15? Might have been 18. I think I had to get my mate to buy it because he looked on it.
That.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But the kids then are like, it's the red button, don't push the red button. I'm not supposed to play this. It's not age appropriate.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to go out and find a way to play it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to play it loads and loads and loads and loads and loads and loads.
or
now,
at least I'm going to say I play it loads and loads, so that my friends think
cool.
I'm cool, and then my friends will say, "But Bobby's got it, I should have it," even though Bobby doesn't really have it.
Yeah,
and they trick all the parents into buying it when they
And I mean, have you seen the effects of that?
Yeah. Well, the thing is with those games is that because you're talking about a game that can be played offline, it just becomes. And if you take, for example, something like Grand Theft Auto, where it's an open world environment, you can go and do whatever you want.
Yeah. But
your choices, if
you're 6 or 7,
yes,
and you're playing Grand Theft Auto,
you're going to be running over people. That's what you're going to be doing. You're not
there's things
worse than that. Yes,
yeah.
There are things far worse than that, and it's very bad for a young mind that doesn't understand good or bad to be influenced that way. I say don't understand good or bad. Maybe should say that can be more easily influenced. And there isn't the choices in Grand Theft Auto to, open a small patisserie and, settle down and start a family. It's not The Sims. And so your choices are limited to how much destruction you can cause in this world and get away with it.
Yeah.
And hence why it's an 18. And people really need to respect those age ratings because
the exposure matters, doesn't it? Okay, you're not exposing them in a physical form going out into the streets, but they're aware. You're building an awareness to that in their formative years,
and it's a virtual world. Like, would you for your 8-year-old son buy an adult movie, an 18 adult movie, and say, hey, you can watch this whenever you want? You just wouldn't. I don't know. The crossover between games and film started to merge a long while ago.
Yeah.
Sort of like Tomb Raider was one of those ones back when it was called a cinematic game, which was more like being at the cinema because of the scenery and the stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they've just only got better. And so, it's really frustrating that parents don't see it as the same. And parents don't see the same as unfiltered access to the internet that isn't supervised is the same as just letting anyone babysit your kid.
Yeah.
It's just saying, I'm going out, here's the keys for my house.
Yeah.
If you want to babysit my kid, come around.
Yeah. It's a good way to look at it. I mean,
you just wouldn't.
The top psychologists in sporting world, they look at visualization and have done all the brain scans suggesting that just the visualization of going through a process of running a race or anything can put you through the same chemical response as the actual event. So that tells you something, doesn't it? It can be used positively or negative, but either way, it's working.
It's that addictive adrenaline of playing a game and winning it, and sort of like chasing that adrenaline. It's like the gambling addiction. You're chasing a feeling which should be provided by someone just telling you that you're important, rather than the fact that you came.
You're getting the dopamine or the endorphin hit just from the
So I think, I don't know why, when you have games, it's quite easy for the programmers just to turn things on and off. I don't know why you can't buy a game that's an 18 rated game, but you lock the console. This console will only play 12s or only play 7s, whatever. And then whatever aspect of the game is not appropriate, it cuts out.
Yeah.
It might be a shorter game, but sort of, I don't think Grand Theft Auto is a great example, but any of the Call of Duties or something like that, you could quite easily have the guns being far simpler, firing lasers, and sort of rather than people dying or limbs coming off, they fade out. They fade out.
Yeah. I can't get into my bank account very easily to access my own money.
Yes.
But kids can just get hold of whatever they want quite easily.
It's the content control. I don't know why they haven't done it with films. You can quite easily edit out sections of films so that, if you play the DVD and the system is locked, if they just made this simple, system is locked to 12, so that you buy I can't think, no films come out at 18s anyway. Let's say that we lock it. Star Wars, great example. Quite a few of the films are 12s.
Yeah.
My 8-year-old 9-year-old now, really wants to watch Star Wars. Episode 3, watch 1, 2, got to episode 3. Of course, I let him watch 4, 5, 6 first because I'm not an idiot. So watch 4, 5, 6, all PGs. 1, 2, then 3 comes along and it's a 12. I forgive me, LucasArts, Disney. So I kind of copied to my computer, my own DVD, edited the bits out of like Anakin being burnt, spoilers and stuff like that. The bits that were the Emperor getting all emperory, edited those out so that he could watch it.
That's cool.
But why haven't they done that for me?
Yeah.
And the other great thing is
watching something. Why can't you have? So you put Netflix on.
Yeah.
You've got your own account and you've got children. So why not when you put a DVD in?
Yeah.
It says 12 plus or whatever version and PG version.
Yeah.
And just edit a couple of scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for adults, putting things in black and white, if you reduce the colour on your TV, just turn the colour setting off, makes things a lot less scary.
Right. Okay,
my kids easily get scared of some stuff, and just putting things in black and white, things are less scary. It's amazing because it just seems less real.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it's a good bit of advice.
That's a good little mind trick there.
Very good. Jedi mind trick.
So yeah, do you think that we will see? I mean, if you look at the mental health and well-being marketplace, if you want to call it that. I mean, there's a lot of people out there doing a lot of work. There's lots of books and things going on now, and movies that are really pushing this kind of, this approach of we need to seriously look at it.
Okay, so what things that promote mental health well-being through just their media, like Inside Out? Have you seen?
Yeah, things like that.
So helping you understand emotions, so that kids can watch that, and then you can say, "How are you feeling?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, envy, joy, fear." Like these are emotions that affect the way that I behave, and sometimes when I can't control the way I behave, it's sort of. I need to regain control of part of my emotion. Yeah. Yeah. So that kind of thing.
That kind of thing. But in a gaming sense, do you think we'll ever get to a point where it will be better managed by the big hitters who are putting the games out like Fortnite, and we will see more games with promoting core values, social development, and... because a virtual world for that.
Definitely. I do think it does amuse me that you could be running around the battlefield, shoot someone, and then have to attend their funeral, sort of like at the end of the game, answer a few questions, fill in some forms, like, why did you attack this person? So like real life response of you get carried away by. They do it in one of the Austin Powers, don't they? Sort of every time a bad guy gets killed, you see the family, and he shoots one of the bad guys, and then it cuts to the home family, and the wife's taking a call. It's like, oh, really? I'm sorry, girls, Daddy's not coming home today. And puts it in like James Bond is a murderer. James Bond goes around shooting all these bad guys, but there's real consequences for the people at home. For that they're just doing their job, being security. They don't know who James Bond is. They don't know their boss is this master villain. They're just doing a job. That empathy. And so to answer your question properly, is they're always trying to do stuff in games, always trying to make them educational, always trying to do that, and they're just not the big things that are advertised. So they are out there. There will be games. There will be games that explore mental health, and BAFTA, the BAFTA Young Games things. The winners from 2018, the winner of one of the games was based around mental health.
Yes, it was. It was called Fragmented. There
was one about dealing with anxiety, and there was another one about. There was another one which was dealing about friendships and sort of. The more grown-up one was looking at a bit more about sort of you being able to decide your not gender identity, but sort of like in terms of relationships and things like that. But I suppose that was part of it, was the fact that you could explore that in a game. And it's what my parents did So me and my wife had a very different upbringing. I kind of watched as much TV as I liked. She had TV banned, and they didn't have a TV in the house from age 8 because it caused too many arguments. Yeah. And before that, they were only allowed to watch Blue Peter. So it's like very, very different childhood. When we watched EastEnders and stuff like that, and there was stuff like teenage pregnancy and stuff like that, my mum would make a point of saying, how do you think that person's feeling? And stuff like that, and bring in the empathy. And games are really powerful. There are so many. I played this game called Papers, Please, where you work in a border control for this sort of Eastern European country. So I'm not sure it's actually got a name or a real place. Yeah. And people are trying to flee there, or people are trying to smuggle stuff in. But they talk to you at border control about, I need to get in to see my kids. My kids are here, but they don't have a valid passport. So do you deny them? Do you let them in? And stuff like that. Oh, it depressed the life out of me. Like, it's won lots of awards. And it's a great game, but it's so, you can't win it. It's just an emotional experience. And there was a game called That Dragon Cancer, which was about a father losing their child, who's only sort of 2 or 3, to cancer, and you play as the father. Wow. And you kind of engage with the child and entertain the child and try and give that child the best life they're going to have, knowing that by the end of the game they're going to be dead. And it affects people. It's there are games out there that tackle these big issues, but people don't see games as a serious thing. They see films and documentaries. They see it as more serious. Books, even more serious. Games right at the bottom of the pile. Yeah. But games are what people engage with. And so, I think maybe I should introduce
You're
my children.
more interactive with a game than a film, huh?
Oh, of course.
Well, absolutely.
Imagine that. But imagine sort of... imagine having, your history class at school when half of the game, not just a battlefield attack, but sort of the other decisions you have to make about how much money you spend on the war campaign, or how much you spend on feeding your country and stuff like that. But you have, the Allies and the Axis there. Yeah. Both sides wanting the best for their country. Both sides wanting, those kind of games are really powerful, and they exist. Yeah, it's just they need to be found out. Because people.
It's the other ones that seem to hit the mainstream, isn't it?
Well, it is, isn't it? In the same way that it's normally the simplest thing that appeals to most.
The shock factor. Well, yeah. So, I mean, you design your own games, and you've got a few projects on the go that you're developing. Just quickly, your creative process. Do you find a therapeutic element to that? And that's why you've offered it to children in education?
Well, I know that sort of like when we were speaking earlier, you were saying that sort of like music and songwriting, that is a very therapeutic process for yourself. And that also when there's times of important life situations, that will be when you're most inspired. Yeah. Now, with games making, I approach it slightly differently, actually. I think it's because I like discovering and making. When I hear about something or discover something new, that's the inspiration. So it's less artistic in terms of reflection, but more about experimentation and testing things. So I'll have a think of, there was a game that I made a while back, just a basic one. I was like, what if you had followers with everything that you touched started to follow you and become part of your sort of entity? And there's loads of games like that. But in the software I use, can I do that within a couple of lines of the code? Can I do that? And I did that and made this game called Swarm, where you're actually kind of a square. I didn't bother with the graphics. And every egg you touch becomes your child and starts to follow you and becomes part of your entity. But if you take out the queen, as in the main character, then all the other ones scatter. And you can also steal them off other people and stuff like that. And sort of, so it's more about experimentation for me, rather than a reflective process. It's about discovery.
Yeah, very good, very good. I mean, we've been running for over an hour now, so I think we should start to look at wrapping up. But that's great. We could sit here and put the kettle on and
we could
go for another hour easy. But I mean, I'll see you again and catch up with you in 3 to 6 months, something like that is probably what I'm going to look at doing, and you can tell us what you've done since now.
Yep.
But where would you like to see things go with Impact Gamers now?
I would love a space, and that's what we're looking into at the moment, in the town centre for safe play. Yeah. So that people can come together and play positive computer games together.
Yeah.
And those retro games suit that. Cross generation, cross gender, cross ethnicity, cross language.
Yeah.
Your Pac-Man, your Space Invaders, Sonics and Marios, like those kind of things. But also some board games and stuff like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So I'd love there to be a space that when people feel that there's no, I'm bored, there's no friends to come around or anything, they can go and play safely in an environment with their parents, with a friend, or even with a stranger. Sort of like, so that you can, you and your mum can head down, and a stranger and their mum can join in and play a board game with you,
meet some new friends, and and I mean, it doesn't always have to be, actually playing a computer game. You said they're board games, but if the board game's based around a game they heavily engage with, computer game, that's fine as well. It's same as physical activity. If I've suggested children who don't want the gamers that don't want to really engage in physical exercise outside, well, can we come up with a game that maybe we'll set this up like Minecraft with Minecraft pieces all over, and they've got to run around and find that interest and get them in.
Definitely. I do think games are a great hook and a great vehicle for all sorts of things, because we do learn through play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do learn through play.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's wrap up from there, and I will see you again, Adam. Thanks again.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, cheers, mate.